The backlash surrounding Disney's Snow White and Rachel Zegler continues to make waves. As you mentioned, the second trailer has garnered significant negative feedback, with only 27,000 likes compared to nearly 800,000 dislikes on YouTube as of December 10th. This stark contrast highlights ongoing audience discontent, reportedly fueled by Zegler's controversial comments and broader criticisms aimed at Disney's creative and casting choices. The dislike trend underscores a growing disconnect between Disney and certain segments of its audience, with many voicing their frustrations over perceived agenda-driven decisions and the handling of legacy franchises. If the trend continues, it may indeed signal challenging times ahead for the movie's reception at the box office. Would you like to explore this topic further, or draft a segment for your channel?
I'm not a mentat, but the quick math on this, it's a 14-to-1 ratio.
That's
14 downvotes to 1 upvote.
The interaction on the downside is...
Disney CEO Bob Iger finds himself in yet another embarrassing predicament, this time thanks to Snow White's lead actress, Rachel Zegler. Just weeks after Zegler's controversial comments alienated nearly 80 million Americans, Disney released the second trailer for the upcoming Snow White remake. Predictably, the backlash has been immense. As of December 10th, the trailer has garnered a staggering 800,000 dislikes against just 27,000 likes. At this rate, it's only a matter of time before this trailer crosses the 1 million dislike mark. This reception is a clear indication of the public's growing frustration with Disney's creative direction. But why is this particular remake sparking such a fiery response? Disney's live-action adaptations have always been divisive. Films like Dumbo and The Lion King received lukewarm receptions, but Snow White's backlash feels uniquely intense. The controversy stems from a mix of fan nostalgia, dissatisfaction with the remake's visuals, and Disney's perceived overreach in modernizing the classic. Fans are questioning whether anyone even asked for a revamp of this 1937 masterpiece. While the original film is hailed as groundbreaking, it was hardly at the top of fan-requested remakes. Disney's decision to update the story, without clear demand, has only fueled skepticism. The 1937 original remains beloved for its artistry and historical significance, so why tamper with it? The controversy surrounding this remake isn't just about uninspired trailers or poor CGI. It's about how Disney's attempts to modernize its classics often come across as tone-deaf. The Snow White remake has walked straight into a culture war that goes far beyond filmmaking.
What does this tell us, Chris? It tells us the cultural significance of pissing everybody off, and not just our sphere, everybody. And this is why we talk about Snow White, the movie itself.
Disney's predicament reflects a deeper issue in Hollywood, the clash between nostalgia-driven storytelling and the push for progressivism. In today's era of intellectual property, IP, domination, studios are hesitant to invest in original ideas. Instead, they opt to recycle familiar stories, hoping nostalgia will guarantee box office success. On the flip side, many studios, Disney included, have leaned heavily into progressive updates for their classics. While some audiences appreciate these changes, others see them as forced and unnecessary. Snow White exemplifies this collision of priorities. One controversial change involves the dwarfs, or rather, their absence. Originally titled Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the remake proposed replacing them with 7 magical persons after actor Peter Dinklage criticized the original depiction of little people. While Dinklage's concerns were valid, the solution, magical beings, was widely mocked as an overcorrection. Instead of addressing the issue thoughtfully, Disney's approach seemed to please no one, alienating both fans of the original and those advocating for better representation. This tension highlights a recurring problem with Disney's remakes. They try to appeal to everyone but often end up satisfying no one. Snow White's backlash isn't just about nostalgia or creative decisions. It's about how these decisions reflect broader cultural divides.
Where there were demands from certain groups rather than audiences to make every female character strong. That was pushed so much and done so badly that people are tired of it. Whenever you give somebody too much of one thing, they eventually ask for the other.
Another contentious aspect of the Snow White remake is the casting of Rachel Zegler. Fans have criticized the decision to cast an actress who doesn't match the character's defining description, skin as white as snow. While race bending can work in certain contexts, as seen with Halle Bailey's Ariel in The Little Mermaid, it feels misplaced here, given that Snow White's name and appearance are integral to the story. Many fans view this casting choice as indicative of a larger misunderstanding of the character, adding to the controversy. Zegler's public comments about the original film have not helped her case. In interviews, she described the 1937 classic as outdated and suggested the remake was correcting its flaws. These remarks struck a nerve with fans who cherish the original's legacy. Instead of honoring what made Snow White timeless, Zegler's comments came across as dismissive and elitist. Her tone, often perceived as condescending, only deepened the divide between Disney and its audience. This situation underscores a key issue with Disney's approach to remakes, an apparent disregard for what fans loved about the originals. The company's attempts to modernize classics often feel like overreach, alienating audiences instead of winning them over.
The fans disrespecting Snow White, which helped build Disney, disrespecting half the country doesn't help your film. All press is good press is bullshit.
One of the most polarizing changes in the Snow White remake is the role of the prince, or lack thereof. Reports suggest that the prince will have little to no involvement in the story. While this decision might seem progressive on the surface, it reveals a deeper misunderstanding of the original tale. Snow White was never about waiting for a man to save her. The prince symbolized hope, not dependency. By removing him entirely, Disney risks stripping the story of one of its core themes. Snow White's journey has always been about resilience, kindness, and inner strength. Reframing the story to fit a modern feminist narrative while sidelining key elements feels unnecessary and heavy-handed. Fans aren't opposed to updating classics, but they expect these updates to enhance the original story, not rewrite its essence. The backlash isn't just about creative changes. It's about the message those changes send. By trying too hard to modernize, Disney risks alienating the very audience that holds these classics dear. Snow White's timeless appeal lies in its simplicity and charm, qualities that are often lost in the pursuit of progress.
Fans actually wanted the love story. There is a demand for that, but there's not a demand for this. And Snow White just kind of represents how out of touch Hollywood is and how they're not actually giving people what they want with these movies.
Rachel Zegler's controversial remarks have been a major factor in the Snow White backlash. In one infamous interview, she dismissed the original film as outdated, suggesting that the remake was fixing its flaws. Fans took issue with her comments, which they perceived as dismissive and out of touch. Instead of celebrating the original's legacy, Zegler's remarks seemed to undermine it. Her comments about Snow White not needing a prince added fuel to the fire. Many fans felt she was projecting modern sensibilities onto a story that was never about romance in the first place. The original Snow White isn't perfect by today's standards, but it's beloved for its historical significance and timeless charm. Zegler's tone, often perceived as snarky and condescending, only widened the gap between Disney and its audience. This controversy highlights a recurring problem with Disney's remakes: the perception that the company looks down on its own classics. Fans don't want to feel patronized. They want their love for these stories to be respected. By dismissing the original Snow White as flawed, Zegler and Disney risk alienating the very people they're trying to appeal to.
She literally says it, whatever. If you don't vote blue, I don't need your business.
May you never know peace. May you never know peace.
Yeah.
That's pretty harsh.
So, what does this all mean for Disney? It's clear that the company's approach to remakes needs a serious overhaul. Instead of trying to fix classics or chase modern trends, Disney should focus on what made these stories special in the first place. Audiences crave authenticity, not perfection. They want to see these characters and stories honored, not reshaped to fit a corporate agenda. Disney's current strategy of banking on nostalgia while alienating core fans is unsustainable. The Snow White debacle should serve as a wake-up call. For years, the company has relied on its classic IPs to drive profits, but this approach has its limits. Fans are growing tired of seeing beloved stories picked apart and reimagined in ways that feel performative and unnecessary. To regain trust, Disney needs to respect its audience and the timeless appeal of its classics. Share your thoughts on the Snow White controversy in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on Hollywood's biggest debates. See you in the next video.